Hello and welcome you tune into Market Cafe. I'm Ankita Saxena. In the next half an hour, we'll take you through all that is transpiring on the global markets and how the markets moved and what are going to be the cues you need to keep on your radar before the start of D Street today. But let's take stock of how Wall Street shaped up yesterday. Now, we do see a bit of a cooling coming off as far as Wall Street is concerned. We do see Dow Jones Industrial Average that was that traded down 0.1%. We do see S&P 500 that was trading down 24 points. Not much of a downtick that's coming in, but rather very flat moves coming in Dow Jones on the S&P 500, but Nasdaq saw sharper cuts of almost 0.8%. 184-point downtick is what we saw coming in on Nasdaq. Now let's talk about some of the important breakthrough or the big headlines as far as the US-Iran war is concerned. Now, Trump has signaled a breakthrough. In fact, Trump has said that Iran has agreed to a no nuclear weapon, and he also commented on Strait of Hormuz, and he said that we have control of anything we want, and the big oil and gas deal could be in the pipeline. And also, Trump has claimed that the US has received massive oil and gas benefits, is what Trump is also claiming. So a lot of commentary that's coming in. So that's something that we will be watching out for, and how things shape up as far as the commentary is concerned. But let's talk about the oil prices. Now, remember, oil has been elevated, but this time around, we did see a drop of almost 5% coming in after Trump signaled that Iran, talks and US stocks are progressing. And on the back of that, we did see the Brent crude and the WTI both cool off. In fact, Brent is trading down 6.3% as of now, trading at $97.88 a barrel. So it's well below the $100 per barrel mark, and WTI is also trading with cuts of 5.2% at around $87.50 per barrel. So that's where WTI is also trading at. So a cool off coming in as far as oil is concerned, but we do see a tick up in gold prices right now. 4.4% gains coming in. 4,597 is where gold is sitting at, and silver also seeing an uptick of almost 7% right now, with it's sitting at $74.40 per ounce. So that's where the precious metals are also there. So the silver climbs for the third straight session, and gold is also doing well as of now. But Donald Trump has now passed on the buck to Pete Hegseth, saying he was the first one to suggest that they could go to war with Iran. He added that the US and Iran are in negotiations, adding that Iran is even talking sense. Reports suggest that Washington has sent a 15-point plan to end the war, but Iran continues to deny any direct talks. Let's listen in.
We have control of anything we want. Look, if we can end this without more lives being down, without knocking out $10 billion electric plants that are brand new and the apple of their eye, I'd like to be able to do that, But they can't have certain things. I mean, you know the things. I don't have to go over the list, but again, it starts with no nuclear weapons, and they've agreed to that. There won't be any nuclear weapons.
All right, moving on to the next news flow, and a new diplomatic route may be opening, but clarity remains elusive, where Pakistan has offered to host US-Iran peace talks with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, pitching a comprehensive settlement to end the conflict. And at the same time, the US is reportedly preparing to deploy 3,000 troops to the region.
And a contrarian take on the Iran war from JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon. He says while the conflict has raised near-term risks, it could actually improve the odds for long-term peace in West Asia. Dimon argues that the regional powers now have a shared incentive, which is stability to sustain foreign investment flows. For Saudi Arabia to UAE, he says they all want peace.
And Donald Trump's approval rating has slipped to a new low as the Iran war begins to hit home. Now, a Reuters poll shows that approval at just 36%, down sharply as fuel prices surge and economic concerns deepen. Only 25% approval of his handling of the cost of living, while support for US strikes on Iran is also slipping.
Pause could last longer than markets hoped. Governor Michael Barr says that the interest rates may need to stay steady for some time, with inflation still running above the target. This is due to the fear that rising oil prices from the West Asian conflict could push the inflation higher yet again. And US President Donald Trump spoke to PM Modi and the ongoing West Asia conflict, with both the leaders stressing the need to keep the Strait of Hormuz open. India continues to call for restraint and diplomacy while working to ensure safe passage for its ships and stable energy supplies. With that context, what does this call really signify? To get more on that, we're now joined by my colleague Samita. Let's take a look.
That's right. It's an important development that's come in because the Prime Minister has spoken to President Donald Trump ever since the war began on February 28th when Israel decided to strike Iran. Now, this is also important given the fact that the U.S. is looking at de-escalation with respect to hostilities that have been ensuing amidst Iran, Israel, and the United States. In fact, the President Donald Trump has extended the deadline to reopen the Strait of Hormuz for 5 more days and has called for talks. He stated that talks have been going on between Iran, one of the leaders, a respected Iranian leader, he said, and the United States. Now, that is something that Iran has categorically dismissed. The Iranian leadership, the Iranian government officials have been stating that the United States is merely buying time for thinking about its next military strategy, and it cannot be trusted. Now, as far as this conversation goes, let me read out the Prime Minister's tweet. The Prime Minister said that we had a useful exchange of views on the situation in West Asia. India supports de-escalation and restoration of peace at the earliest, and ensuring that the Strait of Hormuz remains open and secure and accessible is essential for the whole world. We agreed to stay in touch regarding efforts towards peace and stability. So, of course, the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz is crucial and critical for the entire world, especially given the fact that we are looking at an energy crisis, which, according to the IEA chief, Fatih Birol, is bigger than the dual crises of the 1970s and the Russia-Ukraine war. And of course, this essentially means degrowth in the global economy. And it's important for the Strait of Hormuz to open for that very reason. And of course, India's role as an interlocutor has been spoken of in the past. India has stood for diplomacy. India has stood for talks. So, of course, these talks, according to the Prime Minister's tweet, they were in that direction. But what exactly could be India's role as far as a mediation opportunity between Iran and the United States is concerned? Well, more details on that are yet to come.
All right, thank you so much, Sumita, for getting us all those details. But moving on, an Indian government has confirmed that 2 Indian LPG carriers, that is Jagvasant as well as Pine Gas, carrying over 92,000 of metric ton of LPG, have transited through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the vessels have 33 and 27 Indian seafarers on board, and these vessels are destined for India and are likely to reach the ports between 26th and 28th of March 2026. Now, these vessels are being escorted to Indian ports by Indian Navy.
And moving on then, we now take you straight to Bharat Mandapam, where the stage is all set for a landmark moment, an official cultural initiative of the government of NCT of Delhi, organized by the Delhi Tourism and Transport Development Corporation. Delegates, filmmakers and industry voices from across the world are converging here, and the buzz on the ground is already building. Here's the ground report.
Namaste and welcome everyone. We're right outside the Bharat Mandapam, India's biggest convention and expo center, जहाँ दिल्ली कुछ ही देर में global cinematic stage पे अपना पहला कदम रखने वाली है by hosting the International Film Festival 2026. This is going to be one of a kind government-backed initiative, जहाँ पर Delhi is going to be the hub of cinematic experiences from across the nation, and Rajdhani already एक तरह से cinematic canvas में तब्दील हो चुकी है. There's going to be massive showcases. 2000 एंट्रियां आ चुकी है 47 देशों से, और इनमें से 140 फिल्में शॉर्टलिस्ट हुई है जो यहाँ पे स्क्रीन होने वाली है. देश और दुनिया के बड़े नाम फिल्मी जगत से यहाँ आने वाले हैं. बट देन this story is not just about the screening or the red carpet. The real story is about the strategic intent जो दिल्ली सरकार ने रखा है यहाँ पे, because they want to transform Delhi from the hub of filmmaking into a hub of cinematic live experiences. और इसीलिए दिल्ली सरकार ने बहुत अलग अलग तरह के इंतजाम किए हुए, not just at भारत मंडपम but across the country. But then दिल्ली सरकार का इंटेंट बहुत क्लियर है, ना सिर्फ सिनेमैटिक एक्सपीरियंसेस प्रोवाइड करना, बट एक तरह से एक ग्लोबल हब बनना फॉर फिल्म मेकिंग राइट हियर इन द नेशनल कैपिटल. We will be getting you all the details, everything that's happening over the period of the next 7 days, right here on Times Network. Stay tuned.
20 years of telling India's story, Times Now has always put India's agenda first. And as we mark 2 decades of deliberation and action, we turn our gaze to the future, to a Viksit Bharat. Leading the charge on charting the roadmap is the Times Now Summit, and a definitive leadership platform that brings together the country's most influential leaders, thinkers and change makers, all driven by one goal: shaping India at 100. Join us on 26th and 27th of March in New Delhi as Times Now leads the national conversation where ideas meet intent and India's future takes shape.
Welcome back. You're tuned into Market Cafe, and it's time now to take a look at how the Asian handover looks like. And it's looking like a good start, at least for now. We do see Nikkei that's jumped up 2.6% right now. We have Hang Seng that is trading with gains of 1%. Shanghai is also trading up 0.8%. ESX S&P 200 also trading up 2% right now. In fact, the Kospi is leading from the front that has jumped up 3% on the back of the de-escalation in US-Iran war. In fact, the implied start to Nifty is also indicating towards a gap-up start of a good 150-odd points. So seems like we will have a good start at least to the day, but we'll wait and watch out for how the entire day pans out, Shrishti.
Well, absolutely. Seems to have a great day yet again, just after that great jump that we have seen just yesterday. But indeed, a lot of stocks to watch out for in today's trading session. And let me take it across to my colleague Rabinder, who's standing by with just that list. Good morning, Rabinder.
Well, as United Spirits and Aditya Birla stocks can be in focus, where United Spirits will sell its entire stake in Royal Challengers Sports for rupees 16,660 crore with the bid won by a consortium led by the Aditya Birla Group, along with Brookfield, Times Internet and the Bold Ventures. And once the deal is completed, United Spirits will fully exit the RCB franchisee, and notably in FY25, the RCB reported a revenue of rupees 504 crore. So back of this, United Spirits and Aditya Birla Group stocks can be in focus. Keep an eye on Seagull India, where company has secured 2 EPC work order worth of rupees approximately 298 crore from the Purva Green Power for a hybrid wind project. However, on the flip side, 2 Ludhiana urban street development tenders worth of rupees approximately 207 crore, where its subsidiary was the L1 bidder, has been cancelled due to administrative reasons. So back of this, Seagull India can be in focus. In case of Fino Payments Bank, Telangana High Court has dismissed the petition filed by its MD and CEO Rishi Gupta challenging his arrests, and the company has stated that it will pursue further legal option with the bail PLA is currently underway. So back of this, Fino Payments Bank can be in focus. Keep an eye on Samman Capital, where company has received RBI approval for its acquisition by the Avenir, which plan to invest approximately 8,850 crore, and this will translate into initial stake of about 41%, increasing to nearly 63% post an open offer, effectively giving its control to the company. So back of this, Samman Capital can be in focus. Meanwhile, Vari Energies can be in focus on the back of their capex approval, where board has approved a capex of rupees 3,900 crore to set up a new 2,500 TPD glass manufacturing. So back of this, Vari Energies can be in focus. And lastly, Acme Solar can be in focus, where company has commissioned the second phase of its Jaisalmer BESS project in Rajasthan, adding 35.7 megawatt. With this, the company's total commission capacity now stand at 95.7 megawatt out of the plant of 250 megawatt. So back of this, Acme Solar can be in focus.
All right, Rabinder, thank you so much for joining us with that list. But Meryl is also standing by with another list of stocks you need to watch out for before the start of D Street. Meryl, take it away.
Yes, let's take a look at some more stocks that are going to be in focus today. Starting first with the energy space, we've got Bharat Petroleum, or BPCL, in focus today after its joint venture, that's New and Green Energy, secured a major contract. Now, this contract is to supply 10,000 tons of green hydrogen annually. And in addition to this, the company has also commissioned its 2G bioethanol refinery, strengthening its green energy push. Moving on to the financial space, Kotak Mahindra Bank is in focus after it's announced that its subsidiary, that's Kotak Mahindra Investments, will stop sanctioning additional loans starting from the 1st of April. This is in part of a broader move to integrate the operations within its bank as per RBI guidelines. Now, in the renewable space, we've got NTPC Green Energy. The company signed a memorandum of understanding with Nextra Data, and this is to develop renewable energy projects that will supply round-the-clock power to data centers across India. Coming to the pharma space, Natco Pharma has approved the demerger of its agrochemicals business into a separate entity, and this, along with a 1:1 share entitlement, could help unlock value for shareholders. Coming to the travel space, Thomas Cook is investing further into its joint venture with Atirath Technologies, aiming to co-develop a proprietary travel AI platform. And finally, the last name on our list today is Manappuram Finance, as its board is set to meet on the 30th of March in order to consider fundraising plans.
Right, Meryl, thank you so much for getting us all the stocks we need to watch out for. But let's move on from there. From air conditioners to airfares, prices are climbing across the sectors as global disruptions feed into global inflation. Rising commodity costs, crude prices, and a weaker rupee are pushing the companies to pass on the costs. While this supports margins in some sectors, it also raises a bigger concern. Is inflation making a comeback? Ashesha takes us through all the price hikes. Let's take a look.
Well, yes, several companies across sectors have undertaken price hikes. And first up, let's start with air conditioners, because AC manufacturers have announced price hike anywhere between 5 to 15%. This is on account of rising raw material costs. Copper and freight costs have risen, and that is the reason AC manufacturers have undertaken a price hike. Remember, this comes at an opportune time when summer is expected to be hotter than normal. So demand is expected to remain very strong, and that makes the case stronger for AC manufacturers to undertake price hikes. So that's air conditioners for you. Let's also put the spotlight on food delivery, because Amazon, both Swiggy and Zomato have gone ahead and announced price hike to the tune of 20 to 25%. This, of course, is aimed at reducing their cash burn and putting their spotlight yet again on the path to profitability for both these food delivery platforms. 4 to 5% rise in EBITDA per order is the likely impact of a 20 to 25% hike in platform fee for both these food delivery platforms, Swiggy and Zomato, and both these counters in any case have been in focus. Next up, let's talk about air travel, because that is all set to become expensive, and that is on account of fuel surcharge that has been levied by aviation companies, not only in the domestic market but in the global market as well. This is led by a surge in ATF prices. Remember, aviation turbine fuel prices have risen by 85% over the last fortnight, and this is leading to higher airfares, which means that your air travel is all set to become expensive. In fact, not just global travel, let's also talk about foreign travel, because rupee is now at a fresh record low versus the US dollar. Rupee has now fallen below that 94 mark, and that is because of FPI outflows and relentless selling by foreign portfolio and institutional investors from the Indian market. This makes your foreign travel expensive. So this could have an impact on your wallet. So that's as far as foreign travel is concerned. Meanwhile, let's also talk about other pockets of discretionary consumption, something like autos. Tata Motors, PV and CV have announced price hike anywhere between 1.5% to 2%. This is led by input cost pressure, and this, of course, is supportive of margins. And because of the price hike, margins are expected to remain higher for all of these auto companies. And this is done by Tata, but this is likely to be followed by other companies within the auto sector. So that's as far as the discretionary consumption space is concerned. Meanwhile, let's also talk about premium petrol, because that too has become expensive. Premium petrol prices have been hiked by 2 rupees per litre by all three oil marketing companies. This is led by a spike in crude oil prices in the global market. This could lead to higher transportation costs because of higher fruit and vegetable prices, and this could directly have an impact on retail and wholesale inflation in the global market. So yes, across sectors, several companies have undertaken price hike, and this could directly weigh heavy on your pockets.
All right, Ishesha, thank you so much for joining us with the lowdown of that. But in a major development, two major IPL teams are set to exchange ownership in high-value deals. The Rajasthan Royals have been fully acquired by a US-based group led by entrepreneur Carl Somani for approximately $1.6 billion. Meanwhile, the 2025 IPL champions Royal Challengers Bengaluru are sold for 16,000 crore in a landmark deal to Aditya Birla Group-led consortium, including the Times of India Group, Bolt Ventures, and Blackstone. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Market Cafe. I'll take your leave. Thank you so much for tuning in, but don't go anywhere, because the market takes the market action forward.